Hi, welcome back to Salesville. We're doing the sales simulation again, and this time we're going to talk about the networking event. In the previous video, we talked about the overview, so you should have a good idea of what the sales simulation is all about. Hopefully you've read the package that you were given, and hopefully you have taken a look at your profile and you know exactly what it is that you're going to sell. So what is the networking event? Well, a networking event is where people get together to try to help each other in terms of maybe somebody needs something and I happen to sell that and I can sell it to them and I can make contact. So it's really a space where you can make contact. Now, you've already probably learned about the networking event in your professional selling class as a great way to meet prospects who are prospective customers for you. Okay? So what we've done in the simulation is we've tried to set up a networking event that's real life, as close to real life as possible. When you enter the room, you're going to see kind of an open room, and it's going to be up to you to go and meet those people who may be your customers or may sell the product that you need to buy. Let's talk about that for a minute. You really don't know what you need to buy yet. When you enter the networking event, you will be given the 4 products that you need to buy. And those 4 products will be one of these 10 products. In fact, there'll be 4 of these 10 products, not including the product that you actually sell. You're not going to have to buy something that you already sell. So if you sell a washer, then all you need to do is figure out what these other 9 products are. That's a great way to prepare for the networking event, is to briefly take a look at these 9 products and try to figure out what they are if you're not familiar with them. A dryer, that's a clothes dryer. A refrigerator for your kitchen, a stove for your kitchen, dishwasher usually goes in the kitchen as well. A desk for you to work on. A bed, which is a box spring and a mattress. A television set, nice flat screen TV for you to watch when you need some downtime. A lawnmower so you can cut your grass. And finally, a DVD player so you can watch your Blu-ray movies or anything else that you happen to rent. So those are the 10 products that will be sold. In the networking event, there's going to be about 4 to 6 people selling each one of those products, including competition for you, okay? And there'll also be about 4 people buying each product for every salesperson in the room. So on average, you should be able to sell 4 of your own products plus a whole bunch of accessories, okay? So that's the networking event. Now, how do you prepare for the networking event? Let's divide it into 2 parcels, preparing as a salesperson and preparing as a customer, okay? To prepare as a salesperson, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand that your job there is to meet prospective customers and then to book appointments with those customers for the second session, which is the sales presentation session. Okay? So what do you need to do? Well, you need to actually design some form of schedule that you can bring to the session with you, whether it's on your phone or on a Surface or a laptop, or it's a handwritten schedule. But the schedule should include a number of columns. And what I would do first is I would make your first column time. Okay? Time is when you're going to meet with your customer in session number 2. Now, I would make these appointments 5 minutes long, okay? So if the simulation happened to start at 2 p.m., then you'd have a meeting at 2. Then you might have another meeting at 2:05. Then you might have another meeting at 2:10. So design something like that. In, of course, the second column, you might want to put name. So who is it you're meeting with? And I encourage you to make sure that you get both names, first and last. In fact, I encourage you to get their contact information as well, so that if you get to the second session, which is the presentation session, and you don't recognize them, you can text them or call them and say, hey, where are you? I'm in the room. Let's get together. It's time for our meeting, okay? So name, and then what this actually becomes is part of your pipeline report. We're going to get to pipeline reports at the end, which is in the negotiating and closing the sale, but you need to consider setting it up right away so that you don't have to do all the work near the end. You could also put, for instance, if this is a sale, in other words, if the person's going to buy your product, hopefully, and you're going to present to them, then you might have a column where you say, yes, that's a sale. If it's a product that you're buying, okay, then what you might want to do is say, yeah, I need to buy the stove, and so this presentation will happen at 2:05 with, let's say, John, and it's to present a stove to me because I need to buy a stove, okay? So that's your pipeline report. Eventually, that pipeline report will include the price that you paid for it and how much you made on a transaction if you sold your product, and then the total at the bottom, which should add up to your total amount of sales and commission and the money spent, okay? So that's the first thing you need to do. The second thing you need to do to get ready for the networking event is to research your product. If you were given the washer to sell, you need to know what a washer is. What I encourage you to do is go into the internet, pick any company you like that sells washing machines, pick their line of washing machines, and have that as your product, okay? You need to work for a company. Pick anyone you want. Don't worry about the pricing. I'll give you the prices later on. But right now, all you're worried about is a real high quality product that has a lot of features that can match a customer's needs. Once you've got that in place, you do the research on that. You're going to use that stuff when you do your sales presentation in session number 2. For session number 1, you need to know who you work for, some features about the product, and the name of the company, and of course your name. Because the third thing you need to do to prepare as a salesperson is to come up with an elevator speech. I suggest that the elevator speech be fairly short. I would go with something around 20 seconds. Hi, my name is Steve Bang. I work for Maytag. We have the best washing machine there is on the market today. Are you interested in a washing machine? If the client says yes, you might say, can we schedule an appointment where I can present to you my product next week at the next week's session? And hopefully both people will pull out their schedule, take a look and say, okay, well, 2:10 is open, then let's get together at 2:10. I suggest 5-minute appointments, and of that I would suggest you're going to spend 3 to 4 minutes doing the presentation, then about the last minute answering questions. Okay? So what else can you do to prepare? Well, you've done your scheduling, you've done your research on your product. As a salesperson, you also want to design something that will make you memorable. So help your prospective customers remember who you are. I've seen name tags, business cards, brochures, posters, something professional. You're not allowed to go there with a megaphone because it'll get too noisy. So you want to go into a professional networking event, and you want to appear professional. You want your customers to say, I remember that person because they were professional and they had this and they gave me that, or whatever it is you do, okay? But put some time into thinking about what you're going to bring to the session. Now, from a customer perspective, how do you prepare? Well, it's kind of tough because you don't know what products you're going to buy. However, you do know that there's 9 other products other than the one you sell that you may be asked to buy 4 of, okay? So what I would do, just go to the internet and figure out what they are. If you don't know what a lawnmower is, take a look at a few lawnmowers on the internet. What I'd also do is, once you understand what the product is, pick 1 or 2 things that if you were going to buy that product would be really important to you. Could be that you're buying a new refrigerator, you want an ice dispenser, a water dispenser, you want low energy consumption, you want the freezer to be a drawer freezer out of the bottom, you want it to be black or white or stainless steel. It could be anything like that. But pick something, because when the salesperson meets with you, hopefully they'll ask you what that is, and that'll help them design the presentation specifically for you, okay? So you don't know what your products are, but when you enter the simulation, session 1, networking, you'll be given a sheet which will tell you the 4 products that you need to buy. Now, the reason we don't give it out ahead of time is because we want to make this as true to life as possible. We want you to not be able to make appointments ahead of time. You'll come into the session and you'll be making those appointments in the session. And one of the reasons we do that is because it won't be just your class in the session. There'll be another class in there that you won't know, and you'll have to actually meet them and find out what they sell, because they'll be selling some of the products you need to buy, and you might not be able to buy all the products you need from your own class. So when you get into the simulation exercise, what can you do to help it become a really successful one, get you a full calendar, a full schedule of appointments, and represent yourself in a real professional manner? Well, the first thing is, don't be late. In fact, be a little early if you can, okay? Because people want to start as soon as they get there, and there'll be a start time. We want everybody in the room at that time, and then you can start meeting people. If you're late, if you come in a half an hour late, most of your customers or potential customers' schedules will be full, and you won't be able to break in and do your presentation. So being there on time or a little early is critical, okay? Also, be prepared to change your strategy. As a salesperson, you may have created this beautiful elevator speech, and you get in and find out that it takes too long to say and people don't have the time. Remember, there could be as many as 100 people in the room. And if you're going to spend 1 minute with each person, and that's pretty small time, then that's almost 2 hours of time just meeting people. You've got to write down schedules, you've got to compare schedules. You don't have a lot of time. The whole idea is not to close a sale here, not to talk a lot about your product because you don't have time. Do they need your product? Would they be interested in a sales presentation? That's all you need. Get their information, get their contact information, book a time in your schedule that's convenient to both of you, and so on. If you happen to meet a person who is selling what you need to buy and needs to buy what you sell, then make it a 10-minute appointment, because you want to do 5 minutes for their sales presentation and 5 minutes for yours. Okay? So best thing to do is be ready to be fluent in the networking event. Be ready to change things if you have to change things to make it work. If you've never been to a networking event before, this might become a big surprise for you. The other thing I suggest as a salesperson is when you're designing the schedule for session number 2, I highly recommend that you build in at least 1 or 2 breaks for yourself. You're going to need it. You're going to go probably 3 hours in session 2, and that's back-to-back-to-back presentations. It becomes very exhausting. So every hour, build in about a 5-minute time where you can go out and maybe go for a wellness break, grab something to eat or drink, and just to clear your head and get yourself back into focus, because you're going to need a little bit of a rest. For the second session, I allow it to go 3 hours. So that means if you had an appointment every 5 minutes, that's 36 appointments. That's a lot of appointments in a row. And if you're doing a lot of those presentations, you're going to be exhausted. The other thing I would suggest is in the networking event is try to come up with a strategy as to how many appointments you want to buy products and how many appointments you want to sell. I'm your sales manager. I expect you to sell as many products as possible. So you want to find every potential customer in that room. That may not leave you enough time to have 10 appointments for each of the products you need to buy. So figure out a strategy around how you're going to do that, and don't overbook yourself and then miss out on opportunities to make more sales. So that's the networking event. Usually the networking event lasts about an hour and a half, depending on the size of the classes that are put together. It's a lot of fun. Plan to stay near the end, because you might have people that are looking for appointments that come in late and you have some availability. And make sure that you make a really good impression on those individuals. In a minute, you can go on to the next video and learn about actual sales presentation techniques and tips and hints on how to make those presentations. But for now, you should be in good shape to get ready to have a very successful networking event. Thank you.